The phone's shrill ring pierced the darkness at 3:17 a.m. As a trauma surgeon, late-night calls weren't unusual, but this one made my stomach clench, my mother's number flashing on the screen. "Samara, you have to come home now." Mum's voice cracked between sobs. "Aaliyah, there's been a terrible accident. She's in critical condition. The doctor's here. They're saying they can't help her." I sat up, already reaching for my laptop. What happened? Which hospital? "Memorial General! Please, she needs you. They say she needs specialised surgery, and you're the only one who can arrange it. She might not make it through the night." My hands were already typing emails, making calls. "I'm Dr. Samara Warner, and in moments like these, my reputation as one of the country's top trauma surgeons became both a blessing and a curse." Within 30 minutes, I had secured emergency privileges at Memorial, arranged for a specialist to be on standby, and booked the first flight home. "I'm on my way," I said, throwing clothes into a bag. "Keep me updated on any changes." The flight was a blur of anxiety and old memories. I hadn't been home in 3 years, not since the last emergency that turned out to be manufactured drama. But this was different. This was Aaliyah. When the taxi pulled up to Memorial's emergency entrance, something felt off. The lot was nearly empty. No ambulances, no urgency. The emergency desk clerk looked confused when I mentioned my sister's name. "Aaliyah Gray? We haven't had any major traumas tonight." My phone buzzed. A text from Mum. "We're at the house. Come quickly." The growing knot in my stomach tightened as the taxi turned onto our old street. Christmas lights twinkled in April. Balloons bobbed against the porch railing. Cars lined the driveway. I stepped out, medical bag in hand, the sound of laughter and music spilling from inside. The door flew open before I could knock. "Surprise!" My sister Aaliyah stood there, champagne glass in hand, wearing a sparkly dress. "Oh my God! You actually brought your doctor bag. That's hilarious." The world tilted sideways as reality set in. Behind her, a banner read, "Happy 58th birthday, Mary." "Samara, sweetie!" Mum emerged from the crowd, arms wide. "You made it! I knew you would. You told me Aaliyah was dying." My voice came out flat, clinical. "Oh, don't be so dramatic." Aaliyah rolled her eyes. "Mum just knew you wouldn't come otherwise. And look, you're here. Finally." The party guests, faces I barely recognised, watched with awkward interest. Dad stood in the corner studying his shoes. Aunt Joanna sipped her wine, avoiding eye contact. Come in. Mum pulled me inside. "Everyone's been asking about you. Did you know Aaliyah's husband Miles just made partner? And wait until you hear about the amazing investment opportunity we found." I smiled tightly, my fingers clenching around my bag's handle. The same bag I'd packed with emergency supplies, thinking my sister was bleeding out somewhere. The same sister now dragging me toward a cake, laughing about how I'd totally fallen for it. "You must be exhausted from your flight," Mum said, steering me toward the kitchen. "But now that we have you here, sweetie, there's one more surprise." I caught my reflection in the window, still wearing my hospital badge, hair messy from the rush. A trauma surgeon who could handle the bloodiest emergencies, but somehow never saw her own family's cuts coming. My phone buzzed again. The specialist I called in was asking for an update on the critical patient. The hospital administrator wanted to know why I'd activated emergency protocols. The chief of surgery needed to discuss my sudden leave of absence. "Actually, Mom," I said, my voice steady as a scalpel, "I think I'm the one with a surprise." She beamed, misreading my tone completely. "That's wonderful." "Everyone, Samara has an announcement." The room turned to face me, expectant faces glowing in the party lights. They had no idea what they'd just set in motion. No idea that this time, the emergency was real, just not the one they had invented. I felt something shift inside me, like a bone finally breaking clean after years of hairline fractures. My smile remained fixed, professional, as I reached for a glass of champagne. This would be my last performance as the dutiful daughter they could summon at will. They wanted me here so badly. Fine. They'd get exactly what they deserved. To family, I raised my glass, watching Mom's eyes shine with victory. And to surprises. "It's such a wonderful investment opportunity," Mom gushed over breakfast the next morning. "Beachfront property, private access, and the price is just incredible. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream create perfect spirals. After last night's party died down, they'd insisted I stay in my old room. The posters were still on the walls, frozen in time like a museum of teenage dreams. We just need a small favour, Dad finally spoke up, sliding a folder across the table. The bank wants additional security on the loan, with your income. I opened the folder. Inside was a loan application for $400,000, already filled out with my information. They'd even forged my signature on several documents. You forged my signature? I kept my voice neutral, clinical. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Aaliyah waltzed in, still in her pyjamas at noon. It's not like you wouldn't have signed it anyway. You're always so uptight about everything. Like last night's fake emergency, I asked. God, are you still hung up on that? Aaliyah rolled her eyes. It worked, didn't it? You're here. And honestly, the way you showed up with your little doctor bag was priceless. Right, Mom? Mom reached across the table, patting my hand. Sweetie, we just miss you. You're always so busy with your important surgeon life, never having time for family. Sometimes we need to get creative. Creative, I repeated. Like the time you told me Dad was having a heart attack. That was different, Mum waved dismissively. We really did think it might be his heart. It turned out to be indigestion, but better safe than sorry. Or when Aaliyah supposedly had appendicitis during my board certification exam. I did have terrible cramps, Aaliyah protested. How was I supposed to know it was just period pain? The memories surfaced like air bubbles in blood. Missed opportunities, sabotaged interviews, manufactured crises, always timed perfectly to derail my plans. Each time I'd come running, each time they'd laugh it off as family looking out for family. The condo closes tomorrow, Dad said quietly. We need an answer today. I stood up, walking to the window. Outside, Miles was pulling up in his new Mercedes. Another investment opportunity success story, no doubt. Show me the property details, I said. Mum practically bounced to get another folder. It's absolutely perfect. There's even room for all of us to stay when we visit you in the city. When you visit me? Well, of course. We'll need somewhere to stay when we come up for shopping trips and social events. You have that spare room you never use? I flipped through the glossy brochure, noting the developer's name, Grey Properties, Miles's company. Everything connected like veins leading to a hemorrhage. I'll think about it, I said. Think about it. Mum's voice sharpened. Sweetie, we need an answer now. The opportunity closes today. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me, I echoed. Yes. Who supported you through medical school? Who was there when you needed us? I paid my own way through medical school, with loans, which I'm still paying off. But we gave you a home to come back to. Unlike you, Aaliyah understands family loyalty. She's warm, she's present. She's broke, I finished. And now you need my money. The kitchen fell silent. Dad studied his coffee. Aaliyah's face flushed red. You know what your problem is, Samara? Aaliyah spat. You think you're better than us just because you cut people open for a living. You've always been like this, cold, calculating, keeping score. I'm not keeping score, I said quietly. I'm just done playing the game. Mum's face crumpled into familiar tears. How can you be so cruel after I raised you, loved you? I'll think about it, I repeated, gathering my things. I have some calls to make. Work calls, Aaliyah sneered. Running away again? I paused at the door, remembering something. Actually, I need to call the hospital administrator. Clear up that emergency protocol I activated last night. Interesting thing about false medical emergencies. They're technically fraud when they involve hospital resources. The colour drained from Mum's face. Samara, you wouldn't... Like you said, Mum. Sometimes we need to get creative. I walked out, already pulling up my phone contacts. First call, my old friend Lena, now a local attorney. Second, the county records office. Third, the state medical board's fraud division. They wanted to play games? Fine. But this time, I was changing the rules. Behind me, I heard Mom's voice. She'll come around. She always does. I smiled. They had no idea what was coming. Holy shit, Samara! Lena spread the documents across her desk. This is way bigger than family drama. These property deals, the zoning changes, there's serious fraud here. I sat in her law office. watching the afternoon sun cast shadows across years of carefully orchestrated deception. Keep going. Your brother-in-law's company has been buying up properties just before mysterious zoning changes make them worth 10 times more. And look at this signature. She held up a document. Your father's name is on half these deals. Dad's always been their rubber stamp. This isn't just rubber stamping. This is criminal liability. Lena leaned back. Does he even know? My phone buzzed. Another text from Mum about the condo deadline. I ignored it. What about the trust documents? I asked. Lena pulled out another file. Your grandmother's trust is ironclad. They needed your signature to access it, which you gave them 5 years ago. Under duress, I interrupted. After they claimed Aaliyah needed emergency surgery. Jesus. Lena shook her head. You know, I always wondered why you left town so fast after residency. I had my reasons. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Joanna this time. Your mother's heartbroken. Please call her. Speaking of reasons, Lena said, I found something interesting. She played an audio file on her computer. Mum's voice filled the room, and Samara's too obsessively honourable to ever retaliate. That's why she's perfect, all ethics and no backbone, just like her father. When was this? I asked. Last week, from the country club's security system. Your Aunt Joanna was there too. I remembered Joanna's voice from 15 years ago. If you tell anyone about Aaliyah's situation, it'll destroy this family's reputation. Is that what you want? I need you to draw up some papers, I said. Revocation of power of attorney, trust access, everything. Already done. Lena slid a stack of documents forward. But Samara, are you sure about this? Once you start, there's no going back. My phone buzzed a third time. A photo from Aaliyah. Her and Mum crying together, captioned, Family is forever, when they're not being selfish. They've never worried about going back, I said, reaching for a pen. Why should I? An hour later, I walked into the local diner where my parents were regulars. The waitress recognised me immediately. Dr. Samara, your mum was just here bragging about your visit. She mentioned a beautiful beach condo. Really? I smiled. Did she mention where she got the money for it? Back at the house, I played the perfect daughter. Listened to Mum's hints about the loan deadline. Nodded at Aaliyah's pointed comments about family loyalty. Watched Dad shuffle papers in his study, oblivious to the noose tightening around his neck. I found some old photos, Mum said over dinner. Remember this one? Your high school graduation. You almost missed it because you insisted on doing that hospital volunteer program. The program that got me into medical school, I noted. You were always so focused on leaving, Aaliyah said, while I stayed and built something real here with Miles. How is the real estate business? I asked innocently. I heard the zoning board's been very cooperative. Miles coughed. Dad looked up sharply. Just amazing, Aaliyah beamed. Miles is so good at seeing opportunities. Unlike some people who waste their lives in hospitals. My phone lit up with a message from Lena. Documents filed. Trust access revoked. You're clear. You know what I remember about graduation? I said, standing up. How Aunt Joanna convinced me to cover for you that week, Aaliyah. What was it she said? Family protects their own? The colour drained from Aaliyah's face. Joanna, who'd joined us for dinner, set down her fork. Samara, Mum warned. Some things are better left in the past. You're right, I smiled. The past is done. Just like my access to grandmother's trust, I revoked it this afternoon. The silence was surgical. Perfect. Clean. You... what? Mum whispered. I also filed a formal complaint about those zoning irregularities. Anonymous, of course. Family protects their own, right? You can't do this, Aaliyah started. Actually, I can. And I did. Consider it my contribution to family loyalty. I walked out, leaving them with their cold dinner and colder realizations. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. This is Detective Roberts. We need to discuss some documents that came across our desk. The game was changing, and I was just getting started. I'm calling to verify the trust revocation, the bank manager said over the phone. You understand this terminates all existing credit lines and automated payments linked to the account? Yes. I watched the sunrise from my hotel room, having moved out of the house last night. And I want a complete audit of all transactions from the past 5 years. Of course, Dr. Samara. And regarding the mortgage payments for the property on Oak Street, stop those immediately. A knock at my door interrupted the call. Aunt Joanna stood there, perfectly coiffed despite the early hour. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me into the room. I ended the call. "About what?" "Old times, like when you helped them hide Aaliyah's abortion while I took the blame for missing that scholarship interview. You were stronger. You could handle it." Joanna paced the room. "Aaliyah was fragile. Fragile enough to destroy my reputation at church. To let Mom tell everyone I was acting out when really I was covering for her precious baby. That was 15 years ago. And nothing's changed." I pulled out my laptop, turning it to show her the screen. "Except now I have proof of everything." She stared at the documents displayed. Bank statements, text messages, recorded calls, years of manipulation catalogued with surgical precision. "What do you want?" she asked quietly. "I want you to deliver a message. Tell them to stop calling, stop showing up, stop pretending we're one big happy family. They're your family. No, they're parasites who found a reliable host." My phone chimed. An email from a local reporter responding to my tip about zoning irregularities. Another piece falling into place. "You'll regret this," Joanna said. "When you're alone in that big city with your fancy career, you'll miss having people who love you." "Love me?" I laughed. "Let's talk about love. Remember when Mom convinced the medical school board I was unstable because I wouldn't defer my admission to help with Aaliyah's wedding? She was trying to keep you close. She was trying to keep me controlled. But that's over now." Joanna's face hardened. "You think you're so clever with your evidence and your plans, but you're still that scared little girl who needed family approval." "You're right. I was scared. Not anymore." After she left, I met with the reporter at a coffee shop across town. She took notes as I laid out the story, my identity hidden under the pseudonym Ruth Kessler. "This is explosive stuff," she said. "The zoning fraud alone." My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Aaliyah. "Sam, I need you for real this time, please." Something in her voice made me pause. Not the usual dramatic flair. Real fear. I played it again, analysing each tremor and break like reading vital signs. This wasn't another manipulation. Something was wrong. The reporter was still talking about deadlines and sources. I held up a hand. "Give me 24 hours before you run anything," I said. "There might be more to the story." Back in my hotel room, I called Lena. "Can you check police reports from last night? Anything involving Aaliyah or Miles?" She was quiet for a moment. "There's an incident report. Aaliyah was picked up for reckless driving. Blood alcohol level was significant." "Let me guess, no booking record?" "Someone called it in as a medical emergency. She's at Memorial now." Of course. Their favourite play. Turn crimes into medical issues. Make everything disappear with the right connections. Another call came in. "Mom. Sweetie, about what happened. We can discuss it later. Right now, we need your help. Aaliyah's in trouble." "Real trouble or manufactured trouble?" "Please," her voice cracked. "The hospital is asking questions about her blood work. If you could just talk to them." I ended the call, staring at the growing web of evidence on my laptop. One signature from me could make this disappear. Keep it out of the papers. Protect the family name one more time. My finger hovered over the reporter's number. Delete the story? Help them cover it up again? Then I remembered Joanna's words. "You were stronger. You could handle it." I dialed a different number, the district attorney's office. "This is Dr. Samara Warner. I need to report an attempted medical fraud at Memorial Hospital. Sometimes the kindest cut is the one that finally lets the infection drain." My phone lit up with another message from Aaliyah. "If you don't help me, I'll lose everything." "No," I whispered to the empty room. "You'll just lose your safety net. Welcome to reality, sister." The police station's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across Aaliyah's mascara-streaked face. She sat in the interview room, her designer dress wrinkled, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Thank God you're here!" She jumped up. "Tell them about my medical condition, the one that affects my blood alcohol readings." Detective Roberts raised an eyebrow. "The condition that mysteriously appears whenever she's caught driving under the influence?" "There's no condition," I said. "And I'm not here to help cover this up." Aaliyah's face crumpled. But you're my sister." "Exactly. Which is why I'm letting this happen." Mum burst through the door, Dad trailing behind her. Samara, what are you doing? Fix this. Like you fixed the last 3 DUIs? I turned to Detective Roberts. You'll find those incidents were mysteriously reclassified as medical emergencies. I've brought the documentation. You bitch! Aaliyah lunged forward, but the detective held her back. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Playing God with people's lives just like at your precious hospital. No, I'm just done playing pretend. I placed a USB drive on the table. This contains evidence of systematic fraud involving hospital resources to cover up criminal behaviour. I'm formally reporting it as both a physician and a witness. Mum grabbed my arm. Think about what you're doing. This will ruin her career, her marriage. Her career? I laughed. Her Instagram influencer posts about luxury lifestyle? Or maybe you mean Miles's career building illegal real estate schemes? You don't understand, Dad finally spoke. Miles has powerful friends. If this gets out... It's already out. I showed them my phone. The local news website's breaking story about zoning fraud investigations. The DA's office is very interested in how certain properties got rezoned right after your company acquired them. Aaliyah collapsed into a chair. You're ice. You know that. Pure ice. You enjoy watching people hurt. No, I stepped closer. That's the difference between you and me. I just stopped helping people who set the fire. Detective Roberts cleared his throat. Ms. Aaliyah, we're ready to process your booking. Booking? Mum's voice rose. No, we can work something out. Samara, please, use your hospital connections. Those connections? I pulled out my medical badge. They're investigating every case where I was asked to intervene. Every emergency you manufactured. Every time you used my credentials to bypass the system. You'll regret this, Aaliyah hissed as the officer led her toward booking. When you're alone in your perfect little life, you'll realise what you threw away. I watched them fingerprint her, thinking of all the times I'd cleaned up her messes, covered her lies, enabled her chaos. Your sister's right, Mom said quietly. You'll have no one. I already had no one. I just had parasites wearing family masks. Dad touched my shoulder. Samara, please. We can fix this as a family. Family? I shrugged off his hand. Where was family when I needed surgery after that car accident and you used my insurance money for Aaliyah's wedding? Where was family when you sabotaged my residency matches to keep me at the local hospital? We were protecting you. No, you were protecting your investment. I turned to leave, but Mum's voice stopped me. If you walk away now, don't ever come back. Don't worry, I said, without turning around. I won't. Outside, I found Miles waiting by his Mercedes. You think you're so smart, he stepped into my path. But you have no idea what you've started. I know people who can hurt your reputation, just like you're hurting ours. Funny thing about reputations, I smiled. They're a lot like surgical procedures. One wrong move and everything falls apart. Is that a threat? No, that's a diagnosis. And your condition? It's terminal. My phone buzzed, Lena warning me about potential retaliation. But I wasn't worried. Every cut I'd made was precise, documented, and completely legal. They wanted to play with reputations? Fine. Let them learn what happens when you push a surgeon too far. I got into my car, watching Miles storm into the police station in my rearview mirror. He still thought he could fix this with money and connections. He didn't understand that some wounds are meant to bleed. My phone lit up again. A message from an unknown number. You've made some dangerous enemies. Watch your back. I smiled, starting the engine. They still didn't get it. I wasn't watching my back anymore. I was watching them fall. Federal agents raided Grey Properties this morning, Lena announced, dropping a newspaper on my hotel room desk. Your brother-in-law's not looking so smug anymore. I scanned the headline. Local real estate empire under investigation. Allegations of pyramid scheme and fraud. The evidence package you provided was thorough, she continued. The feds are particularly interested in those backdated zoning documents with your dad's signature. My phone buzzed. Another blocked number. I've been getting threats all week, each one more desperate than the last. How's Aaliyah handling it? Still in custody. Turns out this wasn't her first DUI, just the first one that stuck. The DA's office is reviewing all those mysterious medical emergency classifications. A knock at the door interrupted us. Room service, but I hadn't ordered anything. Delivery for Dr. Samara. The attendant held out an envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper, an old credit card statement showing massive charges from 15 years ago, medical charges. My medical charges from the car accident they'd used to fund Aaliyah's wedding. They're getting desperate, Lena observed. Good. I pulled out my laptop. Time for phase 2. Within hours, every bank connected to my family's finances received formal fraud alerts. Credit cards maxed out. Accounts frozen. The beach condo deal not just withdrawn, but flagged for suspicious activity. My phone rang. Mum. What have you done? She screamed. My cards are declined everywhere. The bank won't even let me access my accounts. Funny how that works, I said. Almost like having your medical emergency turned into someone else's wedding fund. That was different. You were young, you healed fine. I have metal pins in my leg. We paid you back. No, you didn't. And now neither will anyone else. I hung up and opened my email. The local community Facebook page was blowing up with a viral post about the fake hospital emergency stunt they'd pulled to get me home. The story had been shared thousands of times, with people adding their own experiences of similar family manipulation. Your mother's trying to spin it, Lena said, scrolling through comments. Says it was a misunderstanding about a surprise party. Check the hospital security footage I leaked. She whistled. That's damning. Your mum crying about a critical accident while Aaliyah's in the background laughing about the prank. My phone buzzed again. Aunt Joanna. I found something in your old room, she said quietly. Notes you wrote as a child. Plans for running away. Lists of places you could hide. I was 12, I replied. Already planning my escape. Samara? What do you want? What will it take to end this? I walked to the window, watching police cars pull up to my parents' house. It's already ending. The DA just froze all assets connected to the real estate scam. Dad and Mum are named participants. They'll lose everything. Like I lost my trust fund, my insurance money, my peace of mind. A commotion outside caught my attention. Officers were leading Dad out in handcuffs while Mum screamed at them from the porch. Neighbours gathered on their lawns, phones recording everything. You've destroyed this family, Joanna whispered. No, I just stopped letting them destroy me. After hanging up, I opened my old medical records, the ones from the car accident, 16 years old, metal pins in my leg, while they used the insurance payout for Aaliyah's dream wedding. She needs this, they'd said. You're stronger, you'll understand. My phone lit up with a news alert. Local business owner arrested in federal fraud investigation. Miles's mugshot stared back at me, his smug smile finally gone. You did it, Lena said softly. You actually did it. Not quite. I pulled up one last email. My resignation letter to the local hospital board, along with evidence of every time they'd helped cover up my family's emergencies. They're saying you're heartless, Lena warned, that you enjoyed watching them fall. Maybe I did. I hit send on the email. Maybe that makes me exactly what they always said I was, cold, calculating, distant. Or maybe it makes you free. Outside, more police cars arrived. More neighbours gathered. More phones recorded the fall of the perfect family facade. My phone buzzed one last time, a text from Mum. Please, we're still your family. I typed back 3 words. No, we're done. Then I blocked her number, along with every other connection to the life they'd tried to trap me in. Let them call it heartless. Let them call it cold. I called it survival. The community centre buzzed with whispers as I walked in. 3 weeks had passed since everything exploded, and the small town's gossip mill was still churning at full speed. Did you hear? A woman stage whispered. Mary's house is being foreclosed. After all that talk about their beach condo, I kept walking, heading toward the office where Mum volunteered, or used to before everything fell apart. Her desk was already cleared out, her name removed from the volunteer roster. Dr. Samara, the director intercepted me. I assume you're here about your mother's accusations. What accusations? She handed me a letter, Mum's handwriting, claiming I'd forged documents and orchestrated a vendetta against innocent people. Everything I submitted is authenticated, I said, pulling out my phone. Would you like to hear the recording of her admitting to the hospital fraud? That won't be necessary. Her credibility has been questioned lately. Outside, a crowd gathered around the courthouse steps where Dad was entering for his plea hearing. He'd aged decades in 3 weeks, his shoulders hunched under his suit jacket. Samara! Mum's voice cut through the murmur. She pushed through the crowd, designer handbag replaced by a worn purse. "You have to stop this! Your father's taking a plea deal." "Good. He should. They're saying 3 years. Prison, Samara. Your own father. The same father who signed fraudulent documents using my credentials? Who helped steal my insurance money? We were desperate. The market crashed. Aaliyah's wedding plans were already— Save it for your Facebook posts," I cut her off. "The ones claiming I'm mentally unstable, that I'm destroying the family out of jealousy." Her face crumpled. "I'm your mother. Everything I did was to keep this family together." "No. Everything you did was to keep your control." "Please," she grabbed my arm. "Miles is in jail. Aaliyah's marriage is over. She's moving back home, what's left of home. We need you. You need my money, my connections, my silence. I need my daughter. You had your daughter. You just couldn't stop using her." The courthouse doors opened. Dad emerged looking shell-shocked. The plea deal was done. 3 years, Mum whispered. "And all our assets frozen. Where will we live? How will we survive?" The same way I did, without family support. My phone buzzed. A job offer from a prestigious hospital in London. A fresh start, an ocean away from the wreckage. "Dr. Samara," a reporter pushed forward. "Any comment on your family's involvement in the real estate scandal?" "No comment." I started to walk away. "What about the viral posts about fake medical emergencies? Any response to accusations that you're heartless for exposing your own family?" I stopped. Turned back to face the cameras. Heartless. I spent years healing their self-inflicted wounds, covering their crimes, financing their fantasies, until I realised sometimes the most caring thing you can do is let people face consequences. Mum's sob carried across the courthouse steps. "Good. Let them record that too." Lena caught up with me at my hotel. "Aaliyah's divorce is final. She's giving evidence against Miles for a lighter sentence on her DUI charges." "Of course she is," I continued packing. "She always knew how to save herself." "The London offer, you're taking it?" "Already accepted. I fly out next week." "You won like no one else could," Lena said quietly. "Just be careful. Don't let a hollow victory eat you alive." I paused, holding an old photo I'd found in my childhood room. Me at 12, already wearing a too serious expression. Already planning escapes. "It's not hollow," I said. "It's just finished." My phone lit up Aunt Joanna again. "They're broken," she said without preamble. "Was that what you wanted?" "I wanted them to stop breaking me." "And now? What do you want now?" I looked at my packed bags, my one-way ticket, my new life waiting across an ocean. I want peace. At what cost? At exactly the cost they deserved. After she hung up, I walked through the hotel room one last time. Outside, the sun set over the small town that had tried to keep me small. My phone buzzed with messages I'd never read, from people I'd never help again. Let them call it cruel. Let them whisper about the doctor who destroyed her family. Let them wonder why I didn't feel guilty. I felt something better than guilt. I felt free. The London hospital was waiting. A new life was waiting. And for the first time, no one could pull me back with a 3 a.m. call about imaginary emergencies. Some surgeries require removing the whole infection, even if it leaves a scar. The London rain tapped against my office window as I reviewed patient files. A familiar rhythm now, like the steady beep of monitors in surgery. My phone lit up, Lena's weekly update. "Your dad's halfway through his sentence," she texted. "Your mum's working at the mall. Aaliyah's living in their basement, running some MLM scheme on Instagram." I set the phone down without responding. Another text followed. "They still ask about you. Every time I see them." The intercom buzzed. "Dr. Samara, your package from the States arrived." I wasn't expecting anything. The box sat on my desk, return address from my old hometown's post office. Inside lay a scrapbook, worn and familiar. A note fell out. "Found this cleaning the church storage. Thought you should have it. Pastor Mike." The scrapbook opened to baby pictures. Me holding a tiny Alia. Mum looking young and genuine. Dad actually smiling. Before the manipulation. Before the lies. Between the pages I found something else. A folded piece of paper in my childish handwriting. "One day I will not need their approval to breathe." My office door opened. "Dr. Samara?" Emergency in Trauma Bay 3. I closed the scrapbook. What do we have? Car accident. Family of 4. Parents trying to minimise it, but the kids need immediate attention. Something familiar in those words. Parents minimising. Children paying the price. In Trauma Bay 3, I found a scene I knew too well. Parents insisting everything was fine while their children showed clear signs of injury. It's just a small accident, the mother kept saying. We don't need all these tests. I looked at the teenage daughter's eyes, the same desperate plea I used to see in my mirror. Actually, I said, we do need the tests, and I'm ordering them now. But this isn't a negotiation. Your children's health isn't something you get to gamble with. Hours later, after ensuring the children got proper care despite their parents' protests, I returned to my office. The scrapbook still sat there, a ghost from another life. My phone buzzed, an unknown number. Samara? Aaliyah's voice. Don't hang up, please. I waited. I get it now. Why you did it. All of it. She paused. I'm in therapy. Real therapy. Not Mom's friend who called everything stress-related. Why are you calling? Because I found my own old journals, full of the same things yours probably were. Escape plans, hidden money, desperate prayers to be somewhere else. I thought of the teenage girl from Trauma Bay 3. But you stayed. I was weaker. No, I said. You were different. That's not the same thing. Silence stretched between us, filled with unspoken histories. I'm not asking for forgiveness, she finally said. Or money. Or anything, really. I just needed you to know I understand now. After she hung up, I opened my laptop. The hospital's charity foundation page showed a new donation, anonymous funding for youth trauma counselling. My phone lit up again. Lena. You okay? She asked. Aaliyah told me she called. I'm fine. Are you? Really? I looked at the scrapbook, then at my medical degrees, my new life, my freedom. There's peace, I said. Not joy, not forgiveness, but peace. Is that enough? Through my window, I watched London's lights flicker on against the darkness. Somewhere in Trauma Bay 3, a teenage girl was getting the help she needed, despite her parents' protests. Tomorrow, there would be others. Yes, I said. It's enough. I closed the scrapbook, but kept the childhood note. Pinned it to my board where I could see it during difficult cases. One day, I will not need their approval to breathe. That day had come. And with it came not happiness, not exactly, but something better. Something earned through every careful cut, every precise incision into the infected past. Something that felt like healing. My pager beeped. Another emergency calling. I grabbed my coat, leaving the ghosts of my family behind in that scrapbook. They had their consequences. I had my peace. And somewhere between the two lay the truth about family, about healing, about survival. Sometimes the deepest wounds heal the cleanest when you stop trying to stitch them to people who keep ripping out the sutures. I headed to the emergency room, ready for whatever came next. Not as anyone's daughter or sister, just as myself. Finally, completely uncompromisingly myself.